So I've been rabbiting on about those 5 points for enough time. Let's go into the bulk of this masterclass, which is going to be your content management system focused on organic content. Now, whether or not you have a content management system, and let's say that might range from something very robust. Again, if you work for a B2B company or something like that, well, it doesn't have to be B2B, but if you work for like, any company that is like of a fair size, and let's say you're in marketing and they do content, you might have a very robust content management system. But most of us in the community, solopreneurs, doing our own thing, freelancing, working for ourselves, coaching, whatever that is, content management system might be much simpler, and that's okay. The important thing is that there is a system of some kind, because as you will all remember, if you automate shit, you get 10 times more shit. So it's important to get the system in place first. And when you have that in place, you can start building in little automations to speed things up. So the question that I would ask you guys, especially you guys, anyone watching the replay, obviously you guys live in the call as well. But the question I would ask first of all is, do you feel that you have a solid content management system? And what that would look like would be, you can tell me, for example, step by step, these are the steps that I do at each stage of the process between coming up with ideas and the content being posted on the social media platform. John, you have unmuted. Do you have thoughts, my friend, to share?
Well, only in as much as um, it- I've got what I call protocol documents
Hmm.
in my drive, but there's so much stuff. There's 10 times the amount of stuff has been generated, and I
Mm,
don't even know what's there anymore.
mm.
So I've probably dealt with it in the past at some point, and I might even have generated a month's worth of content, daily content, for LinkedIn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it needs systemizing and automating without a doubt.
Got it. So you've segued perfectly into my next point there, which is the folder structure for how you store your content. And this is something that a lot of the time is not really thought about, right? When you think of content creation, you think of creating content, images, videos, captions, descriptions, like the idea, what is the thing, da, 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 da. We don't put much thought normally into, well, what's the structure of how where am I going to put it? And where am I going to put it with a consistent process so that in 3 months' time, everything is still very cleanly organized and not a chaotic, jumbled mess in a bunch of different folders. And I've got no idea where anything is. And I'm like trying to find my B-roll, but I can't remember where I buried it. And goodness knows what else. And John's laughing. I think it's, it's probably relatable to a lot of us. So, something that we always do, every single company, every single client, every single project of any kind that I'm working on, if there's content generation involved, there's going to be a Google Drive folder structure to back that up. So let me share screen. Doesn't need to be complicated, just very simple. But think of it in terms of, so each branch in the folder is going to be related to business departments. That's the easiest way to do it. Okay, so for Betches Walking Betches, Amy's LA-based pet care business, team of 12, and the branches, if you like, that we have that I have in my own Google Drive related to her business so far are just broken down. This one actually does need to move, but the ones I use are the market research. We've got stuff in finance, we've got sales and marketing, and social media content. Now, again, I could put social media content in sales and marketing, but at the moment, the important thing is everything relating to content lives in here. Now, what's the system we're using within here? Well, at the moment, we have, and I was playing around with the new structure prior to this call. I'm just going to delete that one. That's just confusing things. So at the moment, we've only just started using Instagram for the workflows that I've built for Betches Walking Betches. Amy's got her own LinkedIn one that's running out of her existing system, like her existing folders for Betches Walking Betches. And so immediately what's going to happen is, as soon as we start adding another platform in addition to Instagram, I'm not going to start slinging those folders in here as well. I'm just immediately going to go like that. And I'm going to say, right, everything that is related to what we're doing already for Instagram. That's going to go in that folder like that. And then what's the new thing we're doing? We're doing TikTok. Okay. If it's different content, it goes in a different folder. It's very important. Because what will happen is when I go into Instagram, well, now, how have we broken it up now? Well, now I've thought about what's the process, and I'll show you the process, I'll show you the management system, and I'll show you how Elena, who's working with BWB, a lot of you guys might know Elena. She was in the hot seat a few times in previous calls. She's working with Amy now, and she's in charge of content and branding for BWB. And so this folder structure is literally as simple as possible relating to what's her process. And the system we've built, which I'll run through in a second, is literally based on what's a raw idea, right? So anything pre-content queue, just like inspiration ideas, blah, 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 that just goes in raw. And then the content management system is in queue and then posted. And then within that, each of the content pieces, they have a number. And when it gets posted, what will happen as soon as I start building more automations in this, and again, I'll sort of explain this in a minute, these will move automatically from in queue to posted, like that. Okay. Now, within the management system itself, which I will go on to, we have tags for what type of content is it. And the tags are related to what the social media platform that we're posting on calls different content types. So for Instagram, we have video, aka Reels. We have carousels. We have static images. It's the 3 types of content. So that's how we're managing the content in our content management system, because it matches the platform that we're posting to. It just makes it easy and straightforward, right? There's no crossed wires. So the point I'm getting at is that the folder structure, again, the more, if you do it as business departments, it's just naturally they're gonna filter down into subfolders and then subfolders and then subfolders. And it's going to stay clean, it's going to make sense, and you're going to be categorized by, like, for example, all of your content is going to live in, sorry, all of your social media content, is going to end up obviously in the marketing folder. And then the different social media platforms will live in the social media content. It's like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook will be side by side. And within each of those, you're going to have the content that's in the queue, the content that's been posted, for example. So again, I've used systems in the past that were more complex. The key is simplicity, but simple in a way that allows you to find what you're looking for and know immediately where it is without even having to look for it. Okay. So it doesn't matter if the folder trees are, fairly deep. Like if, for example, you've got the business folder, then within that, you've got the marketing folder, then you've got the social media folder, then you've got the Instagram folder, then you've got the in-queue folder. Like, it doesn't matter that there's like 6 levels to that. The key is it's clean, it's obvious, it's simple. And this is so important when you start building automations, to have a structure like that across the whole business. And it just starts with, where do you store your business assets? How do you store your business assets? And workflows, when you start trying to run workflows and automations and you have more than 2 or 3, you've got like 20 or 30, believe me, if each one is like, oh, it's just hooked up to this random folder here because that was the folder that I created when I created this workflow. And then 3 months later, I've got this other workflow that calls that workflow. But now I've got to try and find where on earth I put that folder and what the folder is. It doesn't make any sense. I've got no idea, but I've hooked up this workflow to this workflow. And then this workflow depends on this other workflow. But God forbid, do I know where that folder's stored? And you end up creating a monster, and it will just absolutely destroy you trying to figure out how your thing works when you forget the system, right, on the structure. So file and folder structure, very important. And that then leads me on to the next part, which is Notion. And I love Notion. Notion is bloody awesome. And Notion is the best content management system that I have used. And not just content management system, but business management system. Notion is essentially a database system that has all of the functionality of many different tools. So things like Google Docs, for example, things like calendar functionality, so Google Calendars, The way the pages are structured is like a folder structure. So like I've just explained, you have pages within pages and they'll have databases in them and so on and so forth. And so there's so many different things that you can do in Notion, and it's perfect for things like task management systems, content management systems, business asset management systems, whatever that looks like. It's fantastic. Now, I've only started using Notion really quite recently. Like it's been around for bloody ages. They're a huge company. They're like hundreds of millions of dollars or like maybe like 2 billion or something per year. I can't remember. They're the OGs, right? They've been around for ages. I've only recently jumped on the bandwagon. And again, the way I started was I need to learn Notion because I know it's awesome and it's brilliant for automations. Like some of the stuff you can just link into Notion and out to other stuff, and NAN is like it's fantastic. But I digress. The key is I knew that I needed to start learning really how to use Notion, and I did what I always do, which is go on YouTube and watch a couple of YouTube videos and how to use Notion for content management or how to use Notion for task management or whatever. Just like, what do I want to do? Let's just go on YouTube and let's just start learning from people who are using it and what's the potential. And it's a little bit of a learning curve because it's so good. It takes some time to figure out how everything works. But when you really start to understand things like the database structure, you have like something called relational databases. And Thomas, I think if you're the Thomas I think you are, you'll appreciate this, buddy. Um, but I started learning about ERD, so entity relationship diagrams, a while ago, and about primary keys and foreign keys and how databases relate to each other. And I'm going on a tangent. Bear with me, everyone. But the point is that just doing a little bit of learning about how databases work, and then learning Notion at the same time. I was like, oh, okay, I understand how to create relational databases. I understand what's really happening behind the scenes there. And what that means is that you can create dashboards that pull information from other sources and show information related to each other, and everything stays clean and organized, and it all makes sense. And it allows you to, again, in this case, create a great content management system. So let me just show you in a nutshell how it works. I'm not going to go through a how to use Notion tutorial because, again, it's all on YouTube. But when you start using this, if I just create, for example, let's just go in Betches and let's just go like a blank page, right? I'm just going to create a page. So the way Notion works is pages live within pages, live within pages. Any page can have databases, it can have different items, can have all sorts of stuff. Let me just get Fathom out of the way. There we go. I always typically start by making it full width. And then let's call this content calendar. Hit enter. /. This is just a little shortcut key to all sorts of different commands that you can do. So you can add, again, all markdown formatting, things like Google Docs. You got your headings. So we do like content, schedule, da, 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 da. And then we go like, you might go database. Let's make an inline database. When you add a database, you add properties. So properties are, think of like columns on a spreadsheet. So you're basically adding like a mega glorified super spreadsheet in the middle of a database. And when you add properties to a database, so for example, if I go like, let's add a select property. And so this will be like, let's say video. And then we're going to call that content. Oh, content. I can type content type like so. You can do tons and tons and tons of different stuff with like how it works and so on and so forth, but we'll keep it simple for now. You might have like, you make one for captions like this, and captions, this might be like text. So we say like, here's your caption idea. Just going to add a few in, then I'll show you a couple of quick things. And this will be like content idea one, whatever it is. So you'd add what are all the fields that I need for content creation? Like, what are the captions? What's the description? Is the post ready? What type of content is it? It's video, what platform? Instagram, da 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 da. So just add like all the fields that you think you might need. And then what you can start to do when you have a database is you can use lots of cool things like filters. So filters are really handy when you have like, again, if you've got multiple platforms on here or different content types, you can start to, change views based on what you want to see. You can add new views. So instead, I might go, let's add a calendar view. So you say, I want to add a calendar. Well, what does the calendar do? Well, the calendar is just added a date column to our database. And so if you put like, oh, this is for tomorrow, right? So let's say that's the scheduled date for the post. You go in calendar. Okay, you've now got immediately in the calendar, it's showing the content that we've just added in the database row. You want to add another content piece, you just click plus, you go content idea too. I really can't type today. Whatever that is. For each of these, you can open up the page as well, and you can add a lot more information. Here are my thoughts about this content piece. All sorts of stuff. Type slash, to-do list. Do this thing. Another one, do that thing. Cool. Another thing we can do is we can add templates. So I have tons of templates in my one for like, for example, do the school community post. And I'll show you that actually. I'll just go into, for example, my task management system and I'll go like plan Valentine's Day. Whoop. So we go in the planned school community post like this. And this is already pre-populated when I get around to this task because I added this as a template. Okay, so every week it will literally pop the task with all the notes that I have that are relevant to the task. It will pop it in my schedule. I can look at, well, what have I got on this week? What have I got on this month? What have I got on tomorrow? All these different views, shows all this stuff. Any one of them I can click into and go, for example, okay, what's this task? Right, have I got info in there? I know I've got a lot of info in here. So I've saved info and files related to the task, blah, 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 blah. So to summarize, this is the content planner that we use for Betches. The way that a new post is created is it's literally just added from a template. So we have the video content template. Elena goes in, she just fills in these fields. What type of content is it? Like so. I've put in some more initial automations. So I'm not going to go through this now. It's probably not quite relevant, but the point is that the potential to automate stuff off of Notion is bloody awesome. So like if you're kind of interested in using AI in your business, this is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the best systems you can use to automate with things when it comes to content management and task management. And then again, all of these notes here, when you add this to the page, it's added as a row just here to the content. I'm actually going to delete that because I don't want to add content to the schedule. I think that was the one that I just opened and didn't fill in. Yes, it is. So I just go bang, delete like that. And there we have it. And so what Elena does each week is she goes in, she just adds the content pieces in Notion. She puts the information into the Notion field. We've got a good Google Drive folder structure where all the content is just automatically added and stored. Again, there's some automations going on there to help with that. And the end result, and this is the cool bit, and apologies, I will not be able to show you how to do this on this call. It's an absolute monster to set up. But I've finally built a working Instagraph post scheduler that works for video, carousel, and static posts. It uses the Graph API, Facebook Graph API, which is a very technical, confusing way of saying, I don't need to say that. It's like how to interact with Facebook through machines, essentially. And the thing is a bit of a monster. It looks like this. John, your face. But even if we don't go down the full scheduling route yet, the point is that if you can automate little bits of your content creation process and you have a good system like Notion, just with a good visual board, and you have a good folder structure so you know where all your stuff is all the time and you don't need to waste time and energy thinking about like how to store and use how to find and reference and where to put your content, and when it comes time to post, like where is it, what's the process, have you saved it on your phone, is it saved here, is it saved there, blah blah blah. You got the system in place. This is the foundation that you have to then start automating stuff. Goes back to what we talked about the whole time. Say it again. If you automate shit, you get 10 times more shit. So this is getting the human part right with a good structure, good process, good systems. And then it becomes very easy to start baking in little automations. So some ideas for you. These are things that I'm about to build for Elena, and it's going to link directly out of Notion. So she will have a button. I will share screen again, actually. Here we go. So she will have a button when she's creating a new content piece, and she just goes into like that one there. and I've already got one for generate Google Drive folders. I won't do it, but she clicks that and it auto generates the folders in the right trees. This is why, again, it's so important to have the structure correct. It will go and, make the folders for the content pieces. They'll then be visible and saved like right here automatically for her. So she can just go, there's the content. It's done. It's right there. All right. It's ready. But other ones are going to be things like generating captions. So taking the idea and context and copy and whatever information is already in place for the content. And for example, taking that to then generate, a description. That's a better example. All right. So simple automation to take this Notion page, boom, into, let's say, NaN, and then just run it through an AI workflow and then generate the description and then send it back into Notion. That's the next one, a little simple automation that I'm going to build next that will just go in this so she can click a button and it will just write the descriptions for her. Super easy. Other little things as well. So descriptions, captions, I'm exploring things to do with sending the video files in Google Drive when they're in the raw folder through to things like Opus Clip. So Opus Clip is a little video editor that can cut clips down. It adds subtitles in your branding. Like it's a pretty handy tool. I've used it for actually quite a few years. Back in the Scrap the 9 to 5 days, it was like a really new, innovative tool back then, and that was like 4 years ago, something like that. Opus Clip. So I want to try and figure out how to pass the raw content out from the Google Drive folder, send it to Opus Clip, add the branded subtitles, export it back, done. Now, I'm not necessarily going to have it edit the video because that's where her expertise is, to look at it and go, right, that part of the message is really good. We need this part. We need this part. But if I can just make a little workflow where the subtitles are already added and they're on brand, that saves her a job. She doesn't need to do that anymore. It's already done. Now she's editing a raw plus subtitles branded video instead of just a raw video. And again, to do that, like the reason that I can do that easily and just do one part of the process is because there is a process. It's in the Notion board. It's in the Google Drive folder structure. Okay, so it's just, again, little ideas, little automations, little things that we can start to do that just make it easier. And that comes from knowing what is your process in the first place. What's the human process and what parts can we start to learn to automate and speed up and so on and so forth. So let me go back to my notes. And hey, now I've just shown you Notion. I'm just going to show you, I'm just going to like literally share screen while I'm just going through this so you can see. If I go to today, I go back to my plan weekly masterclass. This is my notes. So this is what I wanted to talk about this week. Content management system. Talk about the doing like a reminder workflow. So again, one of the little automations you might do is actually another idea. Rather than actually scheduling the content, hey, maybe you just create a little reminder workflow that says you've got content in Notion that says it's due to post today. Here's the file links for it. Here's the folders. Post the content. You're like, oh, yep, okay, let me quickly do that. There's the file, bang, share that to Instagram. There's the description, copy, paste to Instagram. Right, and it even might be like an interim step. It's not full automation. It's not interacting with the monster that is Graph API. But it's a little automation where you don't have to remember to do your content. You've got it in Notion, your calendars, schedules planned, and then it pings you a little reminder to say, hey, it's time to post your content. Here's the image, here's the text, here's everything. And you just copy paste it across, bam, bam, bam. All right, take like a minute, 2 minutes. It's an interim step. So let me stop there for a second.